softly right behind the hill. The kitchen counter feeling wonderfully still. I take the silver medal from the wooden rack. I fill the bottom chamber with the quiet stream, preparing for the waking of a gentle dream. I press the bitter powder down into the core, the same exact routine I've done so much before. But ever since the morning that you came my way, this lonely little habit has a lot to say. I place it on the fire, turning up the heat, and wait for all the bitter turning into sweet. The lonely shadows melting on the kitchen floor as a gentle place called home. Brewing the dawn, waiting for the dark to break, giving you the finest warmth that I can make. It takes a little time to let the pressure rise, to see the sleepy comfort in your opening eyes. I used to drink the darkness by myself alone, but now this little kitchen is a place called home. Brewing the dawn, waiting for the dark to break, giving you the finest warmth that I can make. It takes a little time to let the pressure rise, to see the sleepy comfort in your opening eyes. I used to drink the darkness by myself alone, but now this little kitchen is a place called home. I listen to the metal starting to complain, a beautiful complaining like the gentle rain, the hissing every worry that I used to note. You walk into the kitchen with your messy hair, wearing that oversized sweater like a sleepy bear. You wrap your gentle arms around my waiting waist, and suddenly the morning has a different taste. The isolation fades inside the golden air. We share the silent comfort standing right out there. Wait, hear the whisper, the bubbling sound, feel the gentle rhythm off the ground. The darkest beams are turning into golden light, chasing out the shadows of the lonely night. The liquid slowly rises to the upper room, defeating all the quiet, overcoming gloom. I realize love is exactly like this silver thing. It needs a little fire for the heart to sing. You took my bitter isolation, dark and deep, and turned it into promises I wanna keep. We pour the heavy liquid in the porcelain cups, enjoying all the downs and celebrating ups. The steam is rising slowly to the ceiling white. I know that loving you is doing something right. Brewing the dawn, waiting for the dark to hold me tight, giving you the finest warmth that I hold me tight. The pressure finally settles in a perfect blend. I know this quiet morning is a beautiful friend. I used to drink the darkness by myself alone, but now my heart is anchored in a loving zone. A sip of warmth, a sleepy smile, good morning, love.
Heavy piece of fiction lying on the bed, 1,000 heavy words I haven't really read. Between the turning pages of the endless days, I was wandering blindly in a lonely maze. chapters trying to find the end, without a single shelter or a steady friend. But then you slipped into the middle of my story, not looking for a battle or sudden glory. A gentle piece of leather resting in the seam, waking me completely from a rushing dream. You told me I could pause and take a heavy breath, escaping from the timeline of the life and death. The paper edges yellow in the passing sun, but our quiet chapter's only just begun. You are my resting place inside the rushing wind, the safest little corner where my heart has been. When the paragraphs of life are getting too severe, I close the heavy cover knowing you are here. You mark the exact moment where my soul is found, keeping both my wandering feet upon the ground. You are my resting place inside the rushing wind, the safest little corner where my heart has been. When the paragraphs of life are getting too severe, I close the heavy cover knowing you are here. You mark the exact moment where my soul is found, keeping both my wandering feet upon the ground. I used to fold the corners of the paper down, leaving little scars upon the weary town, forcing my own memory to hold the heavy weight, afraid that I would lose myself and be too late. But the gentle leather doesn't leave a single mark, it only waits patiently inside the quiet dark. Whenever I return from fighting outside wars, I open up the cover and the healing pours. You never push a story faster than it goes, you let the rhythm blossom like a winter rose. Stop, close the cover, turn off the lights, breathe in the shadow. It's gonna be alright. We don't have to read the ending right away. We can live inside this beautiful today. I trace the golden letters printed on your face, realizing love is not a desperate running race. It's having someone waiting at the exact line, reminding me that everything is perfectly fine. I used to think the ending was the only goal, but you have taught the journey to my rushing soul. The worn out leather softens with the passing years, absorbing all my quiet microscopic tears. I place you gently back into the middle page, protected from the sorrow and the outside cage. You are my resting place inside the saving sound, the safest little corner where my heart has been. When the paragraphs of life are getting too severe, I close the heavy cover knowing you are here. You mark the exact moment where my soul is found, keeping both my wandering feet upon the ground. Close the book, rest my eyes, I am home.
Lying in the ashtray, twisted and completely black, a tiny piece of wood that I can never get back. The red tip striking against the rough to fall. We burn so beautifully in the middle of the cold. A tiny flash of yellow, brilliant and so bold. It only took a second for the flame to catch the air, lighting up your features and your softly falling hair. We thought the little fire would survive the winter breeze, ignoring all the shaking of the frozen barren trees. But oxygen runs out when you hold it way too tight, and the shadow quickly swallowed up the fragile light. The smoke is rising upward, fading in the gray. The magic of the moment couldn't force itself to stay. Falling spark, a beautiful and temporary glow. We burned each other down until we had to let it go. I hold the twisted carbon in my trembling hand, accepting what my foolish heart can never understand. We couldn't be a star burning endless in the sky. We were just a sudden flash, born to quickly die. Falling spark, a beautiful and temporary glow. We burned each other down until we had to let it go. I hold the twisted carbon in my trembling hand, accepting what my foolish heart can never understand. We couldn't be a star burning endless in the sky. We were just a sudden flash, born to quickly die. Stare into the darkness where your face used to be, trying to remember what the fire let me see. The warmth is disappearing from my frozen fingertips, replacing all the kisses that were resting on my lips. I used to curse the wind for blowing out the tiny flame, looking for a reason and a perfect place to blame. But wood is meant to turn to ash when it meets the spark. It's the only way to leave a tiny imprint on the dark. I brush the silent ashes off the heavy wooden table, accepting that the permanent forever is a fable. Flash, the sudden light blinding all my eyes. Burn, the memory reaching to the skies. The heat is gone but I can feel it deep inside. There is absolutely nowhere for the truth to hide. I finally understand the beauty of the sudden end. You were never meant to be a permanent, endless friend. The brightest kind of love often has the shortest breath, dancing very dangerously near the edge of death. I wouldn't trade that single brilliant second of the light for 1,000 years of safety in a boring starless night. The burning twisted wood is a medal I will keep, reminding me of feelings that were incredibly deep. I strike another match just to light a candle now, learning to survive the heavy darkness anyhow. Falling spark, a beautiful and temporary glow. We burned each other down until we had to let it go. I leave the twisted carbon resting on the tray, knowing that the smoke has finally drifted far away. We couldn't be a star burning endless in the sky, but I will always love the way we beautifully burn to die. Smoke clears, the dark is calm, I am okay. Hanging from the sleeve of my favorite winter blue, a tiny little string that always reminds me of you. I bought it in the autumn when our love was tightly knit, believing every promise and the way we used to fit. The weather turned so cold, but the wool was very warm, sheltering my body from the heavy breaking storm. But yesterday I noticed that the edge began to fray, a tiny little weakness giving all the warmth away. I tried to tuck it in, trying to hide the little tear, pretending that the ending wasn't beautifully near. But every single time I tried to move my heavy arm, the little string grew longer, raising an alarm. You pull a little thread and the whole thing falls apart, exactly like the unraveling of my weary heart. Unraveling the fabric of the life we used to lead, watching the illusion that I wanted to believe. It started with the whisper
whisper, just a tiny little crack. And now there is no method to put the pieces back. I hold the useless yarn inside my lonely quiet hand, watching our forever sink into the shifting sand. Back, I hold the useless yarn inside my lonely quiet hand, watching our forever sink into the shifting sand. I sit upon the floor, pulling gently on the thread, unmaking all the history and the words we ever said. The sleeve becomes a puddle of the blue upon the wood, erasing all the moments where you beautifully stood. We try to patch the holes with apologies and tears, but the fabric was corrupted by the heavy years. The shape is gone entirely, just a messy pile of string, removing every memory of the songs we used to sing. I thought that holding on would keep the sweater whole, but I was only suffocating my own weary soul. Hold the final piece, watch it disappear, tear the woven lies, make the vision clear. The warmth was an illusion, it was suffocating me. I destroy the heavy pattern just to finally be free. I gather all the strength and I put it in a box, throwing out the key to the heavy rusted locks. I used to love the comfort of the tightly woven cage, but now I am stepping onto a brand new stage. The winter air is biting on my unprotected skin, but I welcome the shivering, letting the coldness in. I don't need a heavy sweater knitted out of lies. I'd rather face the weather with open, honest eyes. The unraveling is painful, but it leaves me pure and bare, breathing in the honest and beautifully freezing air. Unraveling the fabric of the life we used to, we let it go, watching the illusion that I wanted to believe. Now I know, started with a whisper, just a tiny little crack, but now I am happy that I can't put it back. I drop the useless yarn and I open up the door. I am not afraid of the winter anymore. No more threads, just the open wind. I'm warm enough.
Sitting in the corner of a silent, heavy room, a heavy piece of metal hiding in the gloomy gloom. I was just a pointy diamond waiting for the spin, without a single melody or rhythm to begin. The heavy black vinyl was collecting all the dust, covered in the shadows of an isolated trust. I hover right above the silent, empty plastic space, forgetting how to dance and how to find a happy pace. But then you gently lifted up the heavy silver arm, breaking through the quiet with the devastating charm. You placed me in the spiral of a beautifully carved line, and suddenly the rhythm of the universe was mine. The static starts to crackle, wiping out the gray. The music is returning, chasing all the ghosts away. The groove of us, playing through the lonely night, turning every heavy shadow into something bright. I was just a silent diamond waiting in the dark, tempo goes a little faster when you hold my hand. I'm reading every frequency that I can understand. We bump into a scratch but we keep on moving on, dancing in the living room until the break of dawn. Before you came around I only knew the silent air, a heavy isolation that was way too hard to bear. But you were the rotation that my lonely spirit needs, planting all the beautiful and musical new seeds. I traced the heavy vinyl and I read your secret mind, leaving all the silence and the emptiness behind. Spin around the center, don't you ever stop. Inside the rhythm at the very top, the crackle of the speaker is the beating of my heart. We are making up a masterpiece, so beautifully raw. The record keeps on turning, heading to the inner ring. I realized that loving you's exactly what I sing. I thought I needed someone else to write a brand new track, but all I really needed was for you to bring me back. You didn't change the music, you just let the music play, guiding my direction in a brilliantly warm way. If the spinning ever finishes and slowly fades to black, I know we have the memories engraved upon the track. You gave me back my purpose and my beautifully sharp voice. Falling in the groove of you is my forever choice. The groove of us, playing through the lonely night, keep on playing every shadow into something bright. I was just a silent diamond waiting in the dark, but you became my fire and my everlasting spark. We are riding on the circles of a beautifully old song, proving to the quiet that we actually belong. Yeah. Keep spinning, just you and me. Don't stop the track. Yeah. Inside the heavy silver box hanging on my chest, 35 exhausted moments laid out in their rest. I captured all the scenery, the mountains and the sea, looking for a single thing that really spoke to me. But nothing felt spectacular, nothing felt so right. But I was only capturing the absence of the light. I rolled the little dial down to number 36, waiting for the perfect blend of magic in the mix. I carried it for seasons, through the winter and the spring, refusing to just waste it on a temporary thing. The loneliness was heavy on the tip of my own thumb, wondering if the perfect shining moment would ever come. The little yellow window staring blankly at the street, until the very second that I'll only glance as me. One final frame saved inside the heavy dark, waiting for the beautifully right and sudden spark. I could have shot a sunset or a softly falling snow, but my lonely intuition simply told me no. I kept the little silver box protected in my hand until you walked completely right into my waiting land. One final frame safe inside the heavy dark, waiting for the beautifully right and sudden spark. I could have shot a sunset or a softly falling snow, but my lonely intuition simply told me no. I kept the little silver box protected in my hand until you walked completely right into my waiting land. I look into the viewfinder and see a gentle smile, and suddenly the waiting feels incredibly worthwhile. The way the autumn sunshine rests upon your messy hair, the way you look at me as if there's no one even there. I don't need to pose you or to ask you for a grin. The perfection is exactly in the state that you are in. I walked around the lonely world for such a long time, searching for a reason and a beautifully warm rhyme. But 35 mistakes are just a lesson for my eyes, preparing my own vision for this beautifully warm prize. Click, the sudden flash burning on the sheet. Stop the rushing time with every single beat. The chemical reaction is starting in the deep, a permanent reminder that I will always keep. I push the silver button and I hear the heavy click. The magic of the universe is happening so quick. I realize that loving you is exactly like this shot, appreciating everything my lonely spirit got. I don't need a second try, I don't need a spare, because the perfect image is already standing there.
heavy, so the camera is completely empty now. But my heart is overflowing and I finally see how you are the conclusion of my lonely winding art, the single brightest picture hanging inside of my heart. One final flame saved inside the heavy dark is you. I finally ignited the completely perfect spark. I could have shot a sunset or a softly falling snow, but my lonely intuition simply told me no. The role is finally over, but the story just begins. And looking at your face, my lonely spirit finally wins. The picture develops you and me forever.
Walking down the pavement with a heavy piece of brass, watching all the shadows of the lonely people pass. The jagged little edges pressing deeply in my palm, disturbing all the quiet and the beautifully fake calm. It used to open up a world of beautifully warm light, a place where we were hiding from the beautifully cold night. But the locks have all been changed and the walls are painted white. Someone else is living in our beautifully lost side. I carry this old metal like a beautifully sad ghost, holding on to memories that I am missing most. The rust is slowly growing on the silver and the gold, exactly like the story that we previously told. It doesn't fit the cylinder, it doesn't turn the wheel, but dropping it completely is a terrifying deal. The door to yesterday is permanently locked tight. I'm standing on the outside in the beautifully cold night. I'm holding on to access that I do not really own, pretending that I'm standing in a safely loving zone. But metal cannot force a broken history to stay. I have to throw the heavy, rusted memory away. There, the door to yesterday is permanently locked tight. I'm standing on the outside in the beautifully cold night. I'm holding on to access that I do not really own, pretending that I'm standing in a safely loving zone. But metal cannot force a broken history to stay. I have to throw the heavy, rusted memory away. I walk up to the river where the heavy waters flow, reflecting all the neon of the beautifully set glow. I take the piece of brass out of my heavy winter coat and look at all the promises that we completely wrote. I thought that keeping it would keep the feeling quite alive, believing that the ghost of us could magically survive. But carrying the past is like an anchor on the soul. It drags you to the bottom and it swallowed you up whole. I cannot walk tomorrow if I'm chained up to the past. I have to break the heavy, rusty metal spell at last. Drop into the water, watch it sink down deep. Cry into the silence, let the memories sleep. I don't need a piece of metal just to validate the pain. I am standing completely alive inside the pouring rain. The key is sinking slowly to the bottom of the stream, and as it disappears, I am waking from the dream. I realized that loving you was beautiful and true, but holding on to empty rooms is poison in the view. The home we built together is a beautifully lost place, and I can never recreate the magic of your face. But letting go of yesterday is how I find the new. I thank the rusted metal for the times that led me through. My hands are finally empty and my heavy heart is light. I turn my back and walk into the beautifully cold night. Cold night. Watch it fly, I'm holding on to access that I do not really So I completely threw the rusted memory away. Empty hands, open road, I am free. The glass is completely clear at the bottom of the jar. We push the heavy narrative a little bit too far. I dipped the silver medal in the beautifully dark space, but nothing comes up covering the surface of the place. I wrote 1,000 letters trying desperately to save the beautifully sad relationship we took into the grave. The blackness used to float like a beautifully dark sea, connecting all the syllables of you and lonely me. We stained the heavy paper with our promises and lies, and decorated all the truth to beautifully sad disguises. But now the little bottle is as empty as my chest. The heavy words have finally been beautifully laid to rest. I shake the little bottle but the liquid is all gone. I cannot write a reason to continue holding on. The page is white. Drop, 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 down. Drop, drop, down, boom. Drop, 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 down. Drop, drop, drop. We wrote the final chapter and the ending is complete. I pour my heavy feeling out to keep you by my side. There's absolutely nowhere for the heavy tears to hide. The ink has all run out. The beautifully sad well is dry. There are no more words to say but a beautifully quiet goodbye. We wrote the final chapter and the ending is complete. I pour my every feeling out to keep you by my side. There's absolutely nowhere for the heavy tears to hide. The ink has all run out. The beautifully sad well is dry. There are no more words to say but a beautifully quiet goodbye. I used to try to dilute it with a drop of heavy rain, just to squeeze another sentence from the beautifully sad pain. Trying to articulate the reasons why you left, feeling like a victim of a beautifully sad theft. But forcing out the letters only rips the heavy page, leaving nothing but the destruction of my lonely rage. The silence is a period at the ending of the book. I finally accept the heavy, beautifully sad look. I wipe the silver medal and I put it in the case, accepting the completely empty, beautifully white space. Stop trying to write, leave the paper blank, breathe into the void. You have yourself to thank. You gave it every drop of blood and beautifully sad sweat. Yeah, there's absolutely nothing that your spirit should regret. I finally understand that the emptiness is peace. The desperate desire to explain will finally cease. We wrote a beautifully tragic, undeniably real art. But every single story has a finish and a start. I look at all the empty glass and suddenly I smile. The heavy dark obsession was completely not worthwhile. I don't need to fill the void with beautifully sad words. I let the silence fly away like beautifully white birds. The ink is completely dry, but my future is so clear. I close the heavy notebook and I leave the sorrow here. We wrote the final chapter and the ending is complete. I take a bow. I pour my every feeling out to keep you by my side. But the ocean of my beautifully sad sorrow has completely dry. The ink has all run out. The beautifully sad well is dry. I leave the heavy paper and I walk into the sky. No more, no more, no, 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 no more. The story ends, a new blank page. The morning wooden floor is beautifully cold, a shivering story that is getting pretty old. I open up the drawer in the corner of the room, searching for a comfort to eradicate the gloom. I pull a couple pieces from the messy little pile, looking at the colors with the beautifully confused smile. One is painted yellow like the middle of the sun. The other one is navy when the evening has begun. They do not look the same and they do not really match. A beautifully imperfect and uncoordinated catch. But I put them on my feet and I feel the heavy coldness fade, embracing the perfection of the beautifully messy shade. The world expects a perfectly symmetrical design, but I am feeling wonderful because you are mine. Different threads walking through the beautifully cold days, mixing up the colors in a beautifully warm maze. You are not my mirror and I am not your twin, but somehow we are fitting in the beautifully different skin. I do not need a matching pair to make my spirit whole, because your completely different color beautifully warms my soul. Different threads walking through the beautifully cold days, mixing up the colors in a beautifully warm maze. You are not my mirror and I am not your twin, but somehow we are fitting in the beautifully different skin. I do not need a matching pair to make my spirit whole, because your completely different color beautifully warms my soul. People always look at us and beautifully wonder why the ocean is in love with the beautifully dry sky. You love the quiet evening and I love the noisy noon. I am chasing after the sun and you are following the moon. But when we walk together down the beautifully crowded street, our completely different rhythms beautifully and softly meet. I used to try to change myself to fit inside a mold, leaving my authentic spirit beautifully freezing cold. But you accepted every single beautifully weird thread, removing all the beautifully heavy shadows in my head. Step by step we walk the road, share the weight, the heavy load. We clash, we blend, we beautifully collide, with nothing in the universe we ever need to hide. I finally understand the beautifully honest truth, the beautifully messy colors of our beautifully different youth. If we were exactly the same, the magic wouldn't spark. We need the brilliantly bright to beautifully love the dark. I look down at my feet and I completely start to laugh. You are the beautifully opposite and beautifully better half. We do not have to harmonize or beautifully pretend. You are my beautifully unexpected and beautifully forever friend. We weave a brand new pattern that the world has never seen, a beautifully chaotic and beautifully lovely in between. Different threads walking through the beautifully cold days. Walk with me, mixing up the colors in a beautifully warm, wild and free. Are not my mirror and I am not your twin, but somehow we are fitting in the beautifully different skin. I do not need a matching pair to make my spirit whole, because your completely different color beautifully warms my soul. Perfectly unmatched, warm toes, beautiful love.
I pushed the heavy wooden door and stepped into the room, carrying the heavy weight of beautifully cold gloom. My shoulders are completely tight from fighting all the wars. I take my heavy jacket off and throw it on the floor. I do not want to beautifully fight the battles anymore. In the corner of the shadow stands a beautifully old frame, a magically soft cushion that beautifully knows my name. The fabric is completely worn and beautifully faded down, absorbing all the beautifully heavy tears of the town. It opens up, it's beautifully silent, protecting my completely broken spirit from the harms. The world is always pushing me to run and endlessly achieve, but here I beautifully surrender and I beautifully believe. The safest harbor waiting in the beautifully quiet dark. I sink my heavy body in the beautifully deep embrace, forgetting all the wonderfully chaotic, I listen to the beautifully quiet and beautifully wooden creek, the only beautifully honest language that I beautifully need to speak. And memorize the beautifully heavy shape of my own spine, a beautifully silent promise that everything is fine. I used to think that freedom was a beautifully endless flight, running away from beautifully everything into the beautifully cold night. But flying is completely exhausting when you have no place to land, a beautifully empty journey over the beautifully endless sand. You're beautifully patient, love is the gravity I need, planning my completely wandering and beautifully lost seed. Rest your weary head, close your heavy eyes, breathe the silent peace underneath the skies. I give you all my beautifully heavy and beautifully tied pain. You'll shelter me completely from the beautifully freezing rain. I close my beautifully heavy eyes and I beautifully let it go. The beautifully rushing river begins to beautifully slow. I finally realize that true freedom is having a home, a beautifully quiet place where I never have to roam. You take my beautifully sharp edges and beautifully smooth them out, erasing every beautifully heavy and beautifully painful doubt. I do not need to beautifully conquer the beautifully endless earth, because your beautifully warm embrace gives me beautifully new birth. I am completely anchored in the beautifully quiet deep. I beautifully surrender and I beautifully fall asleep. The safest harbor waiting in the beautifully quiet. I'm home magically, soft place to beautifully part. No more roaming, I sink my heavy body in the beautifully deep embrace. Forgetting all the wonderfully chaotic, you wrap your beautifully exactly where I beautifully want to be. Sinking deep, safe and sound, forever resting.
Lying at the bottom of a beautifully empty glass jar, a beautifully tragic reminder of exactly who we are. It used to be so beautifully brilliant when the beautifully crazy magic of our beautifully wild love began. But now the beautifully yellow circle is completely brown and dry, a beautifully fragile fossil underneath a beautifully cold sky. The beautifully heavy moisture evaporated in the beautifully cold air. I hold the beautifully rough texture thumb, wondering how our beautifully sweet love became so beautifully numb. We squeezed out every beautifully single drop we had to give, and left completely nothing for the beautifully true love to live. I try to find the beautifully sweet flavor that we beautifully used to share, but there is completely nothing but the beautifully empty air. We burn so beautifully fast, and we beautifully lost our shine. We didn't know how to beautifully preserve. We only beautifully demanded beautifully more. The beautifully high acidity. Now I look at the beautifully shriveled and beautifully dark rhyme, a beautifully tragic metaphor for the beautifully love we left behind. I cannot beautifully squeeze the water from a beautifully dry stone. I have to beautifully face the beautifully cold truth all alone. Crush the brittle memory, watch it turn to dust, blow it in the wind with the beautifully broken trust. The sweetness is completely gone, leaving only bitter pain. It will never beautifully bloom inside the beautifully cold rain. I beautifully press my heavy fingers down and beautifully break the shell. A beautifully final goodbye to the beautifully dead thing. Well, only beautifully poison. One gonna beautifully poison. I wanna sing, you cannot beautifully freeze a beautifully passing summer day. You have to beautifully let the beautifully dry seasons beautifully decay. The beautifully sharp scent of beautifully stepping out of the beautifully tragic gloom. I wash the beautifully glass jar, completely beautifully clean and clear, and beautifully leave the beautifully bitter memory right here. Whoa, there. I try to find the beautifully sweet flavor. I try to find the beautifully sweet flavor that we beautifully used to share. But I am beautifully breathing in the beautifully empty air. We burn so beautifully fast, and we beautifully lost our shine. But I beautifully leave the beautifully broken pieces behind. Dust in the wind, the jar is empty. Bittersweet goodbye.
A wooden pyramid sitting on the piano top. We used to sit the rhythm perfectly weathered, but the invisible spring started to softly bend, a quiet warning that the melody would end. You wanted to rush into a faster, breathless pace, while I was slowly falling behind in the race. The heavy metal weight slid out of its proper place, creating a tragic empty space. We try to force the heavy pendulum to swing, but we are ruining the song we used to sing. The halting swing, tearing up perfect beat apart, and out of sync and exhausted, tired heart, we stumble awkwardly upon the wooden floor. We cannot dance in the same rhythm anymore. The ticking sound, the halting swing, tearing our perfect beat apart, and out of sync and exhausted, tired heart, we stumble awkwardly upon the wooden floor. We cannot dance in the same rhythm anymore. I try to tightly wind the rusted silver key, desperate to bring your tempo back to me, but forcing the mechanical gears to strictly turn delicate poise. I reach out my tired and trembling hand and stop the metal stick from trying to stand. I realize that love cannot be mathematically forced or automatically, artificially endorsed. We had a wonderful season of matching our time, but now we simply lack the necessary rhyme. I close the wooden cover gently, pushing it down, and walk away from the silent, faded town. The halting swing, tearing our perfect beat apart, and now a sinking, exhausted, tired heart. We stumble awkwardly upon the wooden floor, but I refuse to awkwardly dance anymore. The ticking sound, and I walk alone into the open sky. The rhythm stops, the silence falls, moving on. Hanging from the ceiling of the quiet wooden porch, a little silver dancer underneath the midnight torch. It was completely silent for a very long, long time. A forgotten little piece of metal trying hard to rhyme. I watched it every morning with a heavy, quiet sigh, waiting for emotion from the sleepy, lonely sky. The tubes were hanging parallel but never really touched, caught inside the stillness that my lonely spirit clutched. But then the weather shifted when you walked into the yard, breaking through the heavy wall that felt so cold and hard. You brought a sudden current to the heavy summer air, and finally the metal dancer started spinning there. It only takes a gentle breath to wake the silent song, to prove that all the waiting wasn't absolutely wrong. Catching the breeze, singing a melody of golden light, chasing away the heavy shadows of the silent night. I used to think that I was meant to hang without a sound, but you became the invisible force that spins me all around. You do not have to touch me just to make my spirit sing. Your presence is the only magic that I ever need to ring. Catching the breeze, singing a melody of golden light, chasing away the heavy shadows of the silent night. I used to think that I was meant to hang without a sound, but you became the invisible force that spins me all around. You do not have to touch me just to make my spirit sing. Your presence is the only magic that I ever need to ring. The deepest kind of music doesn't come from heavy hands. It comes from the invisible connections in the lands. You softly wrap your comfort all around my tired frame, and suddenly my lonely corners never feel the same. The hollow silver cylinders are colliding in the wind, playing back the happy places where we have recently been. I don't need a symphony to orchestrate my heart. Your gentle little whispers are the finest kind of art. We harmonize together without planning out the score, and I am not afraid of quiet evenings anymore. Blow through the open window, shake the dust away, ring in the happy morning, make the magic stay. I am completely alive and vibrating with the joy, a beautifully simple once was preparing me for you, a necessary canvas for this beautifully bright view. If I was always ringing, I would never hear the change. I would be completely lost inside a noisy, messy range. But sitting in the quiet made me sensitive and pure, ready for the gentle breeze that functioned as the cure. I close my eyes and let the sudden motion take control, a deeply satisfying rhythm anchored in my soul. You are the constant weather sweeping through my wooden home, and I will happily make music everywhere you roam. Catching the breeze, singing a melody of gold in my hearing, playing heavy shadows of the silent night. Every day I used to think that I was meant to hang without a sound, but you became the wind that lifts my feet off the ground. I celebrate the wonderful and unexpected swing, forever grateful for the breath that makes me softly ring. The wind blows, the music plays, I am yours.
Held inside my pocket was a heavy brass design, a circle full of numbers that I couldn't quite align. The tiny little needle spinning wildly in the glass, watching all the blurry scenery begin to quickly pass. I wandered through the forest of a lonely, crowded town, always moving forward but completely breaking down. I tried to find the logic in the spinning of the dial, walking in a circle for a very heavy mile. But the magnetic distraction of the city was too strong, telling me that every single turn was completely wrong. I finally sat down upon a quiet wooden bench, surrendering my spirit to the lonely, bitter trench. The needle couldn't settle on a single steady line until your fingers gently came and intertwined with mine. You are my magnetic north, the anchor in the wild, taming the confusion of a deeply lost child. The shivering metal finally finds a place to point and rest, right towards the beating of the heart inside your chest. I don't need a map to navigate the heavy stormy sea, because my internal direction always points to thee. You are my magnetic north, the anchor in the wild, taming the confusion of a deeply lost child. The shivering metal finally finds a place to point and rest, right towards the beating of the heart inside your chest. I don't need a map to navigate the heavy stormy sea, because my internal direction always points to thee. People try to tell me I should look up at the stars or follow the taillights of the racing highway cars. They hand me complicated directions painted out in red, adding to the heavy traffic spinning in my head. But ever since I met you, all the noise is fading out, replacing every fragment of the suffocating doubt. I hold a little brass case flat inside my open hand and watch it point directly to your softly golden land. The gravity of love is pulling stronger than the earth, giving my exhausted wandering a brand new sense of birth. Point to the true north through the heavy fog, guide my heavy footsteps over every log. The destination isn't most beautiful arrival I have ever seen. I close the heavy lid and put the brass away for good. I finally stand completely, exactly where I should. I realized that searching was a symptom of the pain, a desperate attempt to find a shelter in the rain. But now the destination is directly by my side. I have absolutely nothing left to desperately hide. You calibrated all the broken pieces of my soul, taking my divided halves and making them so whole. I trust the unseen force that pulls me into your embrace. I have finally discovered my eternal resting place. You are my magnetic north, found my anchor in the wild, taming the confusion of a deeply lost child. The shivering metal finally finds a place to point and rest, and I am leaning softly on your comfortably warm chest. I threw away the map that tried to guide me through the sea, because my steady compass only wants to point to the needle stops right here with you. I am found. Sitting on the table is a heavy ceramic cup, a memory of the mornings when we used to drink it up. The glaze is painted neatly in the deepened ocean blue, a souvenir from the weekend that I traveled down with you. I boil the heavy water and I pour the liquid in, trying to recreate the warmth where we used to begin. But halfway up the side, there is a beautifully sharp line, a tiny little fracture that has ruined the design. I didn't even notice when the ceramic softly broke, lost inside the heavy haze of arguments and smoke. The water slowly seeps out through the microscopic cracks, spilling all the comfort that I can never gather back. I wipe the wooden table, but the puddle always grows, the silent heavy sorrow that only the ceramic knows. Falling through the invisible divide, a broken little vessel with absolutely nowhere to hide. I try to hold the handle and I try to take a sip, but all the precious feeling is escaping from the lip. You cannot force a broken cup to hold the boiling rain. I have to let the ceramic go and wash away the pain. Falling through the invisible divide, a broken little vessel with absolutely nowhere to hide. I try to hold the handle and I try to take a sip, but all the precious feeling is escaping from the lip. You cannot force a broken cup to hold the boiling rain. I have to let the ceramic go and wash away the pain. We try to paint over the crack with heavy sticky glue, pretending that the vessel was completely bright and new. We smiled across the table and we ignored the little drip, refusing to acknowledge the sinking of the ship. But gravity and pressure will always find the weak spot, destroying all the temporary comfort that we got. The cup is growing colder with every single passing day, as all the heavy liquid quietly vanishes away. I stare at the ceramic and my heavy eyes are wet, embracing the completely undeniable regret. Spill! The water falls down onto the floor. Break the heavy illusion, I can't take it onto empty clay. I have to take the memories and sweep them all away. I finally pick the ceramic up and throw it in the bin, accepting that the broken phase is the era I am in. I realize that forcing love into a fractured space will only leave a messy and a very painful trace. It's better to be empty than to constantly pretend to suffer the slow bleeding of a highly toxic friend. The shatter of the ceramic against the metal dark releases my exhausted soul and strikes a brand new spark. I wipe the wooden table for the very final time and beautifully step out of the heavy broken rhyme. Let it fall, a broken little vessel, lose it all, with absolutely nowhere to hide it all. I try to hold the handle, but I finally lost my grip, watching the illusion of our heavy forever slip. I will not force a broken cup to hold the boiling rain. I leave the heavy ceramic and I step out of the pain. The table is dry, the cup is gone, I am healing.
Sitting on the velvet inside the heavy wooden case, a wooden body carrying the memories of your face. I take the instrument and rest it firmly on my knee to play the happy melodies you used to sing to me. But looking at the neck, I see a violently sharp end, the silver wire broken where it beautifully used to bend. The G-string is completely snapped and hanging by a thread, reminding me of all the heavy words we never said. I try to press my fingers on the remaining heavy 5 to keep the warm illusion of the harmony alive. But every time I strum across the empty open space, a hollow quiet dissonance is echoing the place. Perfectly good instruments with the violently missing parts, playing the exact condition of my heaving out my doom. We used to be a perfect set, but you snapped under the pressure of the heavy stormy night. I cannot play the song we wrote without your silver sound. I am leaving the acoustic body resting on the ground. Hey, na, 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 hey, na, na. I tried to tie the silver ends and forcefully connect the violently broken pieces of a heavy wrecked, but wire cannot handle the tension of a broken trust. And the silver is completely covered in a heavy rust. It whipped against my finger and it left a heavy scar, a permanent reminder of how deeply lost we are. I cannot play the melody with a highly broken scale. The fairy tale we tried to write was destined just to fail. I trace the empty fretboard where your silver used to shine, accepting that the harmony is no longer going to be mine. Strum the heavy wood, listen to the break, feel the empty gap for both of our sake. The music is completely dead without the missing string. I have to find a brand new way to confidently sing. I suddenly decide to take the wire clippers out and cut away the violently broken pieces of the doubt. I rip the silver string completely off the wooden neck and look upon the beautifully simplified I realize that I can tune the other heavy five to create a different tuning that will keep my soul alive. It won't be the exact same song we played back in the fall, but it will be a music that doesn't need your string at all. I change the heavy tuning pegs and strike a different key, and suddenly a beautifully brand new song belongs to me. I got the violently broken silver memory of you. We used to be a perfect set, but I have found a different way to navigate the night. I do not need your silver sound to make my spirit whole. Brand new rhythm from my deeply healing soul. 5 strings, new song I can play alone.
Small blue booklet resting in my open hand, filled with faded ink from every foreign land. I crossed the oceans trying to escape the cold, running from a story that was getting old. Red and purple circles scattered on the page, marking all the errors of my lonely cage. I collected stamps to prove that I was moving on, chasing down the sunset till the break of dawn. But every time I landed in a different space, I was only looking for a steady face. The terminal was crowded but my heart was bare, breathing in the heavy unfamiliar air. I traveled all the continents to find a place to rest, but the only destination was inside your chest. Crossing the borderlines, walking through the heavy door. I don't need to wander through the airports anymore. You are the final country where my spirit wants to stay, washing all the loneliness and heavy miles away. I closed the little booklet and I put it on the shelf. Finding you was how I finally found myself. Yeah, crossing the borderlines, walking through the heavy door. I don't need to wander through the airports anymore. You are the final country where my spirit wants to stay, washing all the loneliness and heavy miles away. Yeah. I closed the little booklet and I put it on the shelf. Finding you was how I finally found myself. Yeah. I used to pack my suitcase every single time it rained, running from the feelings that could never be explained. But now I leave my luggage gathered in the quiet dust, building up a kingdom of a deeply rooted trust. Your arms are like the harbor that I always try to seek, understanding every silent tear I couldn't speak. I traded my departures for a steady morning view, anchoring my heavy and exhausted soul in you. Fly across the empty sky, nothing left to prove. Land upon the solid ground, I don't need to move. The customs and the checkpoints fading in the dark. I found the only shelter and the everlasting spark. I look at all the faded days of when I used to roam, and realize the wandering has finally led me home. I thought that holding tickets meant that I was truly free, but freedom is the quiet peace of you holding me. I don't need another visa or a brand new flight. Your love is the horizon in the middle of the night. The journey is completed, the arrival is complete. I rest my heavy traveling soul beside your feet. Crossing the borderlines, walking through the heavy door. Home. I don't need to wander through the airports anymore. No more. You are the final country where my spirit wants to stay, washing all the loneliness and heavy miles away. I closed the little booklet and I put it on the shelf. Finding you was how I finally found myself. No more flights, just you and me. I'm staying here. quiet neighborhood, a heavy little structure made of faded painted wood. The green is chipping shadows when the busy day is done. People sit for minutes, then they always walk away. Nobody's ever really promised they would stay. I was like the heavy timber standing in the cold, watching all the seasons of my lonely life unfold. I carried the exhaustion of the strangers passing by, staring at the emptiness of the cloudy graying sky. But then you walked across the park and brushed away the leaves, changing the reality my quiet heart believes. The wood is getting softer underneath the passing time, but you and I are riding out a steady, gentle rhyme. You are my weathered seat, the comfort in the cold, a deeply rooted promise that will never get too old. When the world is spinning faster than my mind can take, you give me all the quiet that a heavy heart can make. I carve our little initials deep into the heavy frame, knowing that the weather will never wash away your name. You are my weathered seat, the comfort in the cold, a deeply rooted promise that will never get too old. When the world is spinning faster than my mind can take, you give me all the quiet that a heavy heart can make. I carve our little initials deep into the heavy frame, knowing that the weather will never wash away your name. I used to try to build a giant castle in the sand, desperate for a miracle that I could command. But castles always crumble when the heavy waters rise, leaving nothing but the salt inside my lonely eyes. You are not a castle, you are simple, real and true, a quiet place of healing where the sky is always blue. I lean my heavy shoulders on a solid wooden back, defeating all the darkness of the terrifying black. Sit beside me now, let the hours pass, watch the shadows fall on the summer grass. We don't have to conquer every mountain in the sight, we just need a quiet place to safely spend the night. The timber has completely memorized the shape of you, absorbing all the heavy rain and drinking up the dew. I realize that loving is a very quiet art, a shelter for the weary and the complicated heart. If the paint completely fades and the metal turns to rust, we will be protected by a deeply heavy trust. I do not need a luxury to make my spirit whole, I just need your steady presence anchored in my soul. You are my weathered seat, the comfort in the cold, safe and a deeply rooted promise that will never get too old. The world is spinning faster than my mind can take, you give me all the quiet that a heavy heart can make. I trace our little initials carved into the heavy frame, knowing that my heart will always softly speak your name. Sit with me just for a while, we are safe. A heavy piece of glass sitting slowly on the desk, a beautifully tragic and an absolute wreck. It used to burn so brightly with the heavy sweet perfume, chasing out the shadows of the complicated room. We lit the little wick when the rain began to fall, believing that the fire could completely save us all. The lavender and vanilla mixing in the heavy air, creating an illusion that you really used to care. But fire feeds on oxygen and burns the fuel away. It was never meant to last, it was never meant to stay. The black wick is completely buried underneath the white. The flame has disappeared into the lonely freezing night. We burned the passion down until the very final drop. I hold the empty glass and feel the memory decay. to let the lingering aroma wash away. Wash away. I try to dig the cotton from the frozen every pool, trying to reignite it like a desperate lonely fool. I struck a dozen matches, but the wick was completely dead, just like all the promises you quietly, softly said. The sweetness is replaced by the smelling of the smoke, a heavy toxic warning that will make my spirit choke. You cannot force the fire when the fuel is completely gone. It's dangerous to desperately continue holding on. Burn until it dies in the quiet dark, cold against the glass, losing every spark. We gave it everything until the bottom was revealed. There is absolutely nothing left that needs to be concealed. I wipe the black suit slowly from the edges of the rim, accepting the reality that everything is dim. I realize that some loves are a temporary light, they guide you for a second through a very heavy night. But when the wax is empty, you must walk into the day. You cannot let the phantom of the fire block your way. I open up the window and I let the winter breeze eradicate the heavy, suffocating memories. A quiet ghost of love inside the slowly falling gloom. We burn the passion down until the very final drop. I leave the empty glass upon the wooden table now, and step into the quiet morning, finally learning how. Finally learning how. Smoke clears, the scent is gone, I am breathing. Yeah. I reach into my jacket for the keys to open doors, and pull out a reminder of the quiet, silent wars. A heavy piece of paper folded into tiny squares, covered in the heavy dust and quiet, silent tears. The destination printed in a faded, blurry black, a lonely little city that I'm never going back. We sat upon the leather at the back of the machine, watching all the blurry moving scenery careen. I held your hand completely as the engine hummed a song, believing that the journey would be beautifully long. But somewhere on the highway we completely lost the route, and fell into the heavy, suffocating sea of doubt. The numbers on the barcode have completely passed the date. I'm standing at the station, but I am completely late. Paper journey crumpled in the bottom of the dark, a tiny little record of a suffocated spark. We rode the heavy wheels until the road completely split, and neither of our lonely hands were willing to commit. I hold the faded ticket of a love that didn't last. I cannot use this paper to travel to the past. Paper journey crumpled in the bottom of the dark, a tiny little record of a suffocated spark. We rode the heavy wheels until the road completely split, and neither of our lonely hands were willing to commit. I hold the faded ticket of a love that didn't last. I cannot use this paper to travel to the past. I used to keep it carefully beside my heavy phone, a desperate little anchor so I wouldn't be alone, hoping that the company would validate the ride and give us back the magic that had slowly, quietly died. But transit only worked when you were moving to a place, and we were simply staring at an empty, hollow space. The journey has concluded and the engine has gone cold. The story is completed and the narrative is told. The heavy paper, throw it in the rain, away from sorrow, step out of the pain. The bus is never coming to the station anymore. I have to find a brand new way to open up the door. I slowly rip the ticket down the middle of the scene, waking my exhausted spirit from the heavy dream. I realize that holding on to expired guarantees will only keep my heavy soul from moving with the breeze. We had a lovely journey for a couple 100 miles, and shared a heavy pocket full of temporary smiles. But now the road is open and I have to walk my way. I drop the torn up pieces and I step into the day. Paper journey crumpled in the bottom of the dark. Let it fly, tiny little record of a suffocated spark. Say goodbye, we rode the heavy wheels until the road completely split. But now I am completely, fundamentally over it. I watch the faded paper wash away inside the rain. I leave the heavy station and I walk away the pain. Torn to pieces, the road is empty. Walking home